Welcome to a course tour of the Online Collaborative Experience, a 3-week online professional development course for faculty and staff at Morehead State University. The Online Collaborative Experience was designed and created by David Flora, Instructional Technologist, Erica Hollis, Instructional Designer, and Xavier Scott, Instructional Technologist. I'm your narrator, David Flora. The purpose of the Online Collaborative Experience is to introduce the online collaborative tools available in Blackboard and to demonstrate how to use them effectively. Faculty will experience the tools as a student to gain a fresh perspective on how to incorporate them into their classes. Here's a look at the main page of the Online Collaborative Experience. You can see the design is typical and very simple. We wanted to keep the design as simple and as unintimidating as possible for faculty who enter the course. Here's a look at the menu of the Online Collaborative Experience. You can see that it's set up in a weekly structure since this is a 3-week class. And there's also a Start Here area to orient the participants, as well as tutorials, Contact Us, glossary, and grades, which I'll go into some depth. A Start Here area is an area that we feel is important to include in any online class. It is essentially the welcome and orientation part of the class. It welcomes them to the online collaborative experience, sets up course objectives, tells them the course schedule, as well as outlining any special technologies that may be needed to complete the week's assignments. At the end, there's also a link that goes to the Week 1 chapter of the course so they can get started. All of the weeks follow a similar sort of structure that I'm going to go over by looking at the material in the Week 1 folder. We start off every week with basically a definition of what we're going to be looking at in this particular chapter, which collaborative tools, and what the students can expect to experience as they go throughout that week of material. In Week 1, we're going to be talking about blogs and discussion boards and the differences between them. So to start off, we have a short primer article about what blogs are, just to get the participants familiar with the technology. We have a short video there that talks about blogs, and lower down at the end, we also have a series of tutorials that go over how blogs work in Blackboard, both as students and as instructors. Following our introduction to blogs, we have a blog activity. This particular activity is a icebreaker activity, 2 truths and a lie, that is a fun activity and lets the participants get their hands on the tool so they can see how it works. Following the blog activity, we start to move into discussion boards, and we have basically the same sort of primer that we had for blogs, talking about what discussion boards are and how to use them in a course. Again, we've also got several tutorials on how to create discussion board forums and threads, both as a student and as an instructor. Next, we have our discussion board activity, and this is a board that basically lets the instructors or their participants talk about their experience with collaborative activities, both in face-to-face classrooms and online, and how successful those activities are. This builds community and also helps explore the differences in the blog and the discussion board tools in Blackboard. Although the collaborative tools in Blackboard are very simple to set up, often the differences between the collaborative tools can be very troubling and confusing to instructors. So we try to clear that up in every way possible. And one of the ways that works particularly, I've found, is to include simple images that describes the differences. In this case, we've got 2 pictures, one that depicts the conversation that goes on between blogs and in discussion boards. In blogs, you have a person who's posting a chunk of material and then several comments from other students. In a discussion board, one person will post a comment and another student will reply to that comment, and the reply may contain equal weight or equal value, so it's more of a back and forth discussion. These pictures illustrate those differences. Following the images, we have a review chart, which essentially illustrates the differences using text. It describes the tool and its purpose in the course, its appropriate usage, its comparable face-to-face activity that you might use in a traditional classroom, and also some sample examples that are particularly useful for that particular tool. That sort of thing is helpful to prime the pumps for the instructors on how they might be able to use this tool in their course. Now that we've had introductions to both tools and we've had a discussion of the differences in the tools and following with several illustrations, we have a short self-assessment that the participants can go through to basically gauge their understanding. In this assessment, there are several scenarios set up, and the participants get to pick which tool they believe is most appropriate for that, and they can take this assessment as often as they would like to achieve mastery. At the end of each week, there is a folder that contains a number of scholarly articles and resources for the participants. There are scholarly articles talking about research using those particular tools, resources that we thought were particularly useful in helping the instructors find ways and ideas on how to use these particular tools in their courses. And also, if it's appropriate, there's a link to a particular book that we thought might be useful for this particular topic. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of the online collaborative experience brought to you by Morehead State University's Instructional Technology Center.